Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
As everybody is praising John Mahama for his powerful influence speech during the UN General Assembly, the MPP on the other hand sees nothing good about it, but rather to look for faults around what the NDC is doing, which Nanaya Jantuah has also not given them the way, but rather blast them one by one, and finally meeting Collins, Owusu and Mankwa on set. And it's not a small banter, which I would like you to join me listening to what transpired between the two. Nanaya Jantuah did not give him the chance at all. Without much ado, I would like you to join me on PENDREAM TV today to listen to what happened then. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just pick out some points and then read it out anyway. Friends from the media, we should like to believe that by now you all in the media have cited a report of the Auditor General on a special audit conducted by his office into the COVID-19 expenditures of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government for the period March 2020 to March 2022. In a very recent past, you have seen calls by the minority in Parliament, the NDC, and other well-meaning Ghanaians for accountability relative to COVID expenditures being met with fierce opposition from the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Indeed, you all bear witness to the fact that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government has been as scared and petrified by other calls for an audit into COVID-19 expenditures as an old lady would be over the mention of dry bones. Today, it has become apparent that behind that modest fear of accountability was an attempt to conceal from the Ghanaian people what some of us have always known to be stinking rot, high-profile corruption, naked thievery, and the misuse of COVID funds by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. As it is often said, the chickens are finally coming home to roost through this special audit report, which, in our opinion, is a highly charitable and watered-down account of how COVID-19 funds have been expended by government. The report, nonetheless, revealed jaw-dropping details of how various officials and assigns of this government misapplied, misused, and in some cases willfully looted the unprecedented resource envelope that accrued to MPP Akufo-Addo Bawumia government for the management of the COVID-19 pandemic. So there are two legs. They acknowledge that COVID-19 abenyen sunsanso o man Ghana so. Nemo twa pia na mudia no na abro so. Edu bebnom de say ye krase de say ye kobo wakra na ye beka say COVID na me ye bowa. Then it gets to number 2. Sika enyaye from agencies and other supporting aids no. Say sika no, the use of that money was questionable. Even with this audit report then prevailing. So those were the arguments. They never said that it never had institutions.
Omanhen Kasai 17th April 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
Now about no me son. COVID-19. 10 reasons John Mahama and Akufo-Addo deserve some bash. Now, go to this article. Now, Omanhen, we are more joy. Joy FM.
So you state the reasons. No, you state the 10 reasons so that we can all.
No problem.
See any problem?
Excellency Mahama, Excellency Nanado.
Oh, this. None in Sema Wakokan.
Who's in bash?
Beba media obia sema waka na omo eka
entino need a bash why
entina make say na already no mu de na maso na nado ne Dr. Bawumia mu say sika aba na eyemfaso na aba ne monya yare na aba yes na na mo ye campaign na mo
there be bash there be
oh na wasa babontini eko gina UN eka say
there be say they need the bash e dey na wo
nana pacho nya botre why nti when they way
I don't know me no need the bash
any Mr. Any
and
opinion from
opinion
so let's take party positions. For instance, another one I read here. See, party post so that we can really have the conversation well. The National Democratic Congress is accusing government of the National Democratic is accusing government of mismanaging funds meant for the country's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. So clearly, and I was
mismanagement of funds. No funds.
We can argue out that
no,
one. Two legs. One based on the Auditor General's report, one based on their own baby. So clearly,
the argument is very simple. Tenasia na ka COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war. What was the position of then opposition NDC? I almost say, look, this cannot be basis to justify our action because COVID no enya Ghana nko na COVID eye adwuma na ye nhwe Ivory Coast. Enti de ye ka no kure bi anim say COVID no the economic depression aba globally na sunsun so aka Ghana enti no that cannot be basis ye the advance our course. Enti e na asesa then suddenly Omanhen shifted from the previous position eba be ka say ampa COVID no Ojina wiase nyina anim no kasa o say ampa COVID no de atwe wiase nyina in fact ye bibre mu hakra de e kwa ye fa so etu onyiase no esa de ko more than 20 years Omanhen se won akokan e na me ka say Omanhen why this double standard why this hypocrisy
Baujiri se COVID nyansusan so wa bibre ma ojidi
COVID ewiase nyina nyansusan so
a bibre to be specific ye e ko try o ye shim nyansusan so na
it's so devastating say Omanhen so my productivity nyina e ko form.
Okay, so now help me.
Yes,
name a chef for motive when president says that Africa ye breye in fact ye homete na ye kan kona sa twena ba chiri if ye be ye do no what is wrong with that
so the point is adia kane na ye ka no ene do ne ye nyina e ya dwene
na so no njinchinu ada
na bi o se obi diska why na diska.
So that's where we have to have the conversation.
So that is the
one year to me say the book say 1 year to
say adie no o say ya mismanage yes ya gitum say we did our best. In fact o hwe mu cry interventions are ye di gu akwam during our lockdown no say na nya na Akufo-Addo any Dr. Baumia and no mo come tripa ho eye san hyehyɛ ye ne kra na amai bi mo anya ne sa hwe nkrofo mu ye America mo nyina I mean of all places nkrofo wu basa Australia so many in fact a strong economies no kra no could you contain the situation now a third country like Ghana yet me manage very successful to extend that UN clap for Nana Akufo-Addo. Say in fact o demonstrate my ehunu say bibini bi wo bibremu West Africa country Ghana Omanhen a onu ankasa stepping in onu oman kasa wa address yen wie na afeso so measures a ye dia to no wa educate yen owie ye no o se nsuo na ye to no kra na absorb because pressure ne so enkane abo muntua munyese ni nyina to cushion economic life in this country yes anema we nyina na oba begina ho ka che say oh ya mismanaging funds no ya diska no o dia score political points awie and now kwa gino say eyampa etwen ye kwa akire dia then we are being hypocrite who play double standard. And no name how Omanhen and no name how about your president as adi okokoye no and no name how because and no dia fed there what Jitum said there na ye can no credit then on this platform me can say Omanhen must apologize to the people of this country
on pacho
ora Mahama on pacho
so akase COVID ye koyechi in
yes because we have been consistent say adi na haye wo say there be ya di muska sika be na ye di mo ba ye no ese mu na mu kra aban no ye diska e wo COVID funds management let us know but who dey go ye hu fin e dey achieve votes because of political expediency who dey score political points what ji hu votes ene taxpayers money who dey be ye advert UN.
But has it
Of
come to-
America, but BHS,
No,
New York, what the Tarim Crawford,
No,
and
no,
is he the only president of free Ghana?
Agreed.
What did I mention?
Agreed that NASDAQ, no, at least an hour or so is costing us about 17,500.
Yes.
So
dollars. Johnny was how we make us see this. Omanhen if I cost see this. No, man for Nintisika.
don't see this idea.
Me pacha Ujane hon obi twam obeka say be see this now.
Okay, so agreed. The question is that you were dance BHS yetuase sikana na dance anyway.
Omanhen.
If I invoice the bread.
Omanhen, there's no free lunch in America. Me catch your opinion. Yesika o ye ne yetua Ghana for ne yetua. Na dey ma panyini. Adon kwa na ne ho fe. Onu kwa na ne ho fe.
Pacho
na ye kan sa.
Omanhen wo Felix press release no the buy for a delegation na.
Felix mu dey.
Okay, Dominic.
There was something on
just
NASDAQ.
Push the Felix report by Mr.
The press release.
No, source of the.
Oh.
The press release now or chair say a friend saying delegation somebody should put me phone call from.
Okay, don't worry. We'll get it.
And let's
Felix Anche Obama a conflicting report on
let's look at the role of His Excellency Mahama or NASDAQ. See, if they are, it's possible they are even making an advert to tell everybody that he's coming to do this at this particular.
The only statement Omanhen yeah. Meneno ya adwene ne say Africa or more fire
you see he says
natural
something
resources
or can be something very key slavery.
Was it slave trade no? Is the greatest crime.
Slavery
against humanity. Sano kan.
Me pacho di yewudi na menka
me tie.
Where we are now. Me menti.
Na me tie na yere no so.
Ah, o dey twa so.
Oh. Okay, so President Mahama leaves for 80th UN General Assembly. President John Dramani Mahama. Okay, President John Dramani Mahama has departed Accra for New York, leading a high-level delegation to the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA 80, which commences on Tuesday, 23rd September. President Mahama is slated to address the General Assembly on Thursday, September 25, 2025. In his capacity as the African Union champion for financial institutions, he will host two significant side events. His itinerary also includes crucial bilateral meetings with the UN Secretary General, various heads of state, and global leaders such as the president of the Rockefeller Foundation. President Mahama will also engage the U.S. Africa Chamber of Commerce and make a historic visit to NASDAQ, where he is expected to ring the closing bell.
Yes. So if there's an advert,
if this privilege is there,
NASDAQ will advertise you that you are, but you can only be or can be. Or see a
honor a very scanty information. You see, so details now. We are ready to provide the details.
President Mahama will also engage with the U.S. Africa Chamber of Commerce. Don't get it twisted. If indeed the air course on any other information. The official communication is this. President Mahama will also engage with the U.S. Africa Chamber of Commerce and make a historic visit.
A historic visit
to NASDAQ, where he's expected to ring the closing bell.
Yes. As you're just saying, NASDAQ on Mimi
Felix, so you want me to believe in what Felix is saying? NASDAQ are advertising, and I'm still advertising. I can still say, so you don't believe in what I'm saying?
But simple. All calls Pacho is simple.
Pacho miti.
NASDAQ cartoon suffer man paying to the extent to the extent that invitation
letter anyway. This is scanty information. I know Felix more than you.
No, I
know him more than you do.
No.
I know him. Because the issue quickly I was please. So we want to see the invitation letter. We want to see the invitation letter from NASDAQ.
Please.
Don't do that. No. So I'm also demanding we want to see the invitation letter.
I don't know man come here
release the Omanhen party position.
So calm down, Pacho train.
Invitation letter now. We want to see.
Are you now saying that? Are you now saying that's the point? Are you now saying that when it comes from the presidency like this, you have doubts?
Hey, Omanhen, for the sake of accountability.
Please, beyond this letter.
Yes.
What do you know that?
What I'm saying is before you be advertising, costly. So we want to know invitation. Now you want to tell me historic visit. Historic visit from where? We want to see the invitation letter from NASDAQ.
So 21st September. Oh, my
what you konya so nyabotre kasa bebre wo kromo ya nya nyabotre mesel so my sister penyin me pacho nyabotre mesel ya makwan emma mre bi nsem bia okekan gu yeso no wa ba ba mu no sa beto aso I'm
not stopping you. Hold on. I'm not stopping you from Adebia Obusa. They may kind of say,
yes,
you can't be emphatic that President Akutu Sika. That's what you can't be. You can't be emphatic. You can
I can be emphatic, sir. You advertise you. I was our platform now.
No problem with that.
Again,
you cannot.
I have every right to demand, say, invitation letter from NASDAQ.
No problem with that.
Yes.
So let me read. Say, Abia, Opesotia say there. Patroti.
NASDAQ no ni ma de kro.
You should know me. Yes, Nana.
Okay, so
the greatest of respect. Diabolism are we in the Chrome? And truck and I will turn the Chrome. Oh, yeah, they do it.
Collins, but your man.
As one of the say, we shall have here. Messering, I may say one time.
So my king kind of craft. Pacho, this bit, you know. Now if you raise your question, I'm going to Pacho. President Pacho when I Pacho, President Mahama will also engage with the U.S. Africa Chamber of Commerce and make a historic visit to NASDAQ, where he is expected to ring the closing bell. Okay, so so that you can ask your questions.
Google.
That aspect.
Closing bell at NASDAQ. Ambulance. Into Kasa,
Nana. Who are buying more? Kasasa will be a wa by mu. Antisa me tia me yire wa. Enti kasasa obi a ye dey taxpayers money. Etia oka.
Enti me nyawo ntwantro.
Baby. Nyabotre kan wanu tum.
Dem me kan wanu tum.
Ye knows me wi ana wa kasa. Misro.
Me dem me ma sisi mi o.
Oh, me sisi wo saying. Me hu me a bully.
Me I we a bully pa.
Me.
Yes, we a bully.
Hey. Nana ya. Asetina pa ma refi ampa.
E dey asetina pa na.
No say Jubilee yes o kona Jubilee nana tina konwa mu akese.
Na me ya nana
wo ka hia wonti.
So oye this year.
Me this year me nyane na.
Na oye this year me nana ne chichiri jinyase o. Me de chekan na mtu. Me nana safutu ajan the first and chichiri jinyase. So don't bring sa
but you ain't we.
Adesisem here. Wo di adesisem eba ha. Metu de dia. What? Metu de dia. Jinyase
okay, so
me papa.
Oh my goodness.
Yakobi.
Wadaruma.
Of Atasemaso. Ene sante hene mame. Efie kobi.
Me dey me yakwa.
Me ka asem a kire wo ne. Me to me ka asem da.
Da bi na hwa da go na.
Enti me so kama no tum emfa. Kama no tum na.
Okay, so me so mo we.
Me fa hwa.
David nanan ka be wa. Me so o trust won ka be.
Me ka sama so ma no.
Me so trust. So patro yenti. The closing signifies the end of the trading day. The closing bell, which is a brass bell, controlled electrically for the New York Stock Exchange, is at 4 p.m. The New York Stock Exchange began having special guests ring the closing bell on regular basis in 1995. Which I don't know, but I told some privileged people to come and do that thing. Until I make catch all questions. And suddenly, two for now calling the bell.
Because
sir, if you know the question,
very simple.
So, call baby.
Invitation.
So, call baby. Addition.
Na o metiana. Woman is you no, woman is you.
So o ko baby a.
Woman na yansu.
Ya advertise o say o ba. To show say amanfo so nye den. Emra ho. Ghana president a wetimi aye ade sa. Wa win a second election a overwhelming. Ni din adru akire.
It's very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
I binum ka say onye president da. Ebinum ka say o mabio. Otimasi, but wetimi back. A very impressive. His Excellency Mahama a very impressive person. It is almost decided to say they advertise it. So okay, so then show an invoice, which is saying
the president ring the bell all the time. But to displace their,
pictures. But who name share?
There be one more 2 years no.
It is possible, sir, presidents be a ring bell, but because you
have to pay to be displayed.
There be no.
Why invite me? I better
do further checks and see Omanhen. Me say
they are always
Nana Kwaba.
I mean, come on,
na me te say ana nya sanity easy for us at apejon bo mana
there be 1.14
almost out to mobile
money
Omanhen almost out to mobile
Omanhen my friend say my invite you me who say one country but a papa
make you dey 5 years
time and papa we na ye covid e fe Jantuah
we dey more to chief by ni ultimate country was there you know bravo
which are no chief
your friend saying a champ papa 5 years yeah we rich church yeah anya Kumasi because I have 5 years no yen person nkofo be tu kwan be Muslim and no hwe nkofo ni nyina wo ha sisi nti no 5 years am papa fe Jantuah wuye a durian of Ghana politics, a royal of Benshia and the Apeja Oyoko family of Wamponting Intino Echinano you didn't 5 years inti tonsa afrobi a obeti bia say omo marriage no mo so emeboy echidom daddy ejuma kese o Ghana ha he was a great lawyer, a great politician
for daddy to so hey for a
no picture
Madam Ghana phone.
He was the
Jantuah.
Yes, he was the last
Effie
Jantuah. Yes, he was the youngest of Nkrumah's cabinet, a minister of agric, and he was the last of Nkrumah's cabinet 2020. He started with Kwame Nkrumah almost fighting for the independence of this nation. Ye could 5 years is a thanksgiving to God. I feel papa because I was very close to my father. The kind time I used to know Upukuwari the second. The BI Bekoni Menshia. Na yakwa could do lunch. Na you was my black and white, my papa cousin. And you know, me mama so side. Ye unique, both sides no ye royal, me mama so. A side to Sufi Menshia, my papa side to Sufi Menshia. Na me na ya santimanta na hene. Papa could you Jantuah.
Ose no ya santi den.
Inti no.
Ose no ya santi.
Ye be kwa kudi the five me papa me nana. Papa could you Jantuah. Onu na ye je kufo oye ne grand uncle. Omo grand uncle no. Intino. I don't know what me say. Intino. Tomorrow we go and celebrate Daddy. Kumasi di obi enim said Daddy.
Na o papa ti ase anka obedi won ya o. Kwan ya wo de ni pa bi afaso wo kromo.
Ano man de kwa be na mo so mo de faso.
Timi betina.
Na me yo ba besia na mo de mutu mu.
Guna na do ho fin.
Me se me guna na do ho fin.
Penfo akese ho fin e wo hase.
Da bi me gu penfo ho fin.
Penfo akese akese wo kromo ha. O to bo pa betina. Kan sem akese.
Me kan sem akese.
O papa ti ase anka.
So
papa ni very nice man.
Wow, Jiba aye kusi sen.
Ah, obetina nkran ya wasua eniyema bi akese. O ka hia na na ye nti. O papa no ntesa. O papa no ntesa. O papa ti ase ko obedi wo ya o papa.
UP 40.
Me se what ase aduane kran ko mo bi ni. E kwan ya wo di nipa bi fa so okrum a.
Eja medi papa na me aduane adi. Ene na me ekohwi ni pa.
Ja baby obi anya me fa crazy.
Fa crazy daddy.
Wow, we mu do ma be ko amagana. Wow. Tina me for crazy.
Into obi ka say papa budget bi e fa ne nsase a would be okay.
The budget is
say sika time no sika sem bi fa papa nsase a no me ba omo pension.
Okay.
Obe okay.
Go ma ye bi da.
Okay.
Hey, na honorable Nyajuma Ketu say that bell na your president is getting recognition on CNBC, Fox Business, Bloomberg, reaching millions of
presidents ring the bell all the time. But to be displaced, no, you ought to pay. Omanhen, this is a very simple negotiations or transaction cost. I don't know make count.
Then your money be one. Oh no, name Kromajina.
We are my uncle KSP.
Hey. That's the baby hour.
KSP was the first Ghanaian ambassador to UK
and
to Brazil
and
to France. And you cry friend, your friend is saying Honorable Namwali. Ambassador Namwali also call embassy Honu the pictures. The two of them were with Nkrumah.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, Papa, they know a nice man.
Oh, very.
Honestly.
Very.
He was very handsome. Bani dia wo ye diabolic ne baba ne dia aba
na dia bi
baba ne dia just say wo drum crowd on tiase
papa mo ja na wo mu nzam papa ye diabolic me papa ye
dia wo papa ye di wo dia na ehu
why sama yeah sa easy just a bit of and I'm also would like say
oh ye gusu se me kwa nyam kwa na me di me kafi kofo dua na aduru he
oh yeah that's gusu kakra
ye gusu kakra we na nye enu bio we ni ye fourth quarter tariff adjustment. Yes. Fourth quarter tariff adjustment. Said the last 2 quarters of 2024 no. PRC ntimi anye tariff no. Ntimi quarterly adjustment na NCP. Utilities was some revenue gap bi da ho a SSC etimi ehwema wo. Nti ne stagnant nkete. Initially no ye first quarter no we got about I think 17 point something. And I think 18 in your big figure be intine say ya stagnant kakra na we na akasia 1.14 no eno na say because revenue requirement no say went me and claim free ho especially at a time when ye ba be ye mito so go into mito with some hanging revenue requirement a problem a major multi-year tariff order a major tariff review, no, when you are going into it, you always need to give them some form of a clean slate. Bema balance sheet, no, sometimes more tariff na, and ya no nyina mpo no mde ye adwuma. Omu gina tariff na chi kokogye bosen ama ehu se omo bosen hu se there's some good inflows coming in na omu betimi atua. Inti no, anytime this is going to happen, no, we need to clear them a bit so that omu betimi aye omedwuma. Inti no, 1.14 is just to some revenue requirement that is lacking, and as a lagging, no, ebetimi aye den ateso send e be ya ye ko into multi year te yem fa baggage enko into next year tariff na aye be no.
Well, me shows watching this abandoned by the fight against galamsey.
Matibi, we see aye busy kakra nti den na mtise minister ne ka say
aye clear say now they are going to declare those areas, no, military zones. Soldier for no lay, but me de bia make say when we are the human beings, there should be a lot of public awareness. If the human beings within these places no decide this woman ya obi anywhere obi timi aye, except public awareness, and also as we do the military side and the security side, the force side, no, we should also do the soft side of creating some jobs for them. Say there is a maker say obi created 300 jobs for that 300,000 jobs for the youth now omo galamsey money adeniti no. I believe say it should go hand in hand, but it's also a good initiative say government aye. But me there with the president kind me tie bim, but the farmers suma makoma to me ye slavery. I think it's time for us as I say amanone a reparation. Amanone?
Yes, it is time for the white people, the Western world, instead of giving us loans, they should give reparation. It is time for them to give us our share of ejuma ye. Yes, because obi ejuma mawa. Yes, utianika. And I do not remember say ometuayeka. I do not remember say oma shishe sike bia to eye dwetire ana se eye mfaso de ede amayen. And ye ko mu krom kra na omo se omo mpene. So I go with the president, said the time has come. Slave trade was an act which was not very good. It was an enterprise that didn't have any legality. There was no legal backing to that enterprise. Intimra so says Africa is so regional. Let me believe this is Kwame Nkrumah lead the independence of this nation. Ghana should also get up and lead the cause for us to be given some reparation. Because eneni ne ya yeti ho krampo no ye niema ye wono amano ne sa befa ko mamu wi o ma sa beton amayen
enioma
papa ye gold ye bauxite ye nipa ye human resource ye nurses. Into that call should resonate through the whole of Africa. It should be a crusade. Se ye befa ye de ye koye no ya ketua yemfaso die eni ye dwetire aka western world nsam no esom de o ma de mayen ada som de maye sika esom de maye exchange programs se bibia wo mo ho bi adwuma ye mo se eno so no ye won na hyenso de wo ho na hyenso de ne de obroni kuro mo munye nipa tuntum tina chance de ne sese wokọ abrochire yesi efre baby Caribbean, yesi efre baby West Indies, yesi efre baby Jamaica, yesi efre baby London, yesi efre baby US. Uhu nipa tuntum ho. Yesi efre baby South Africa, uhu nipa Brunei ho. Eno ni chance de e kire se ye be fa ye ko mre bi. Na mre bi so no obroni ba be di yeso. No be di yeso no ani yeso wo kwampa so. Odi yeso won kwam ekwan a na eya nkwasom ani etimi di ayi ye friend saying so wo hwehwehwehwe films bia yetimi di jakura mpo bo obi achi tattoo no ye ne number as a slave ye ma bebre wo hwa wo mo ne wo ma ani ne yie eni to ye na wo hwe ye nuanom a ebi ya abrofo because maybe na bi a slave ni bi ene na ni ye nti mraso se esese yetase ye go around the table near discussions on reparations so ofa akwa uja no kwan ofa made no wotna uja ne kwan bible krampo ema kwan sese wofa akwa ubeja no kwan ne dwuma oye na dwuma wie na dwuma so ani a ubeja ne kwan ye hwe sugarcane plantations ye hwe railways roads sugarcane plantations farms ayeye ho adwuma the negro spirit so ko USA omotunyum because that is the negro spirit and no na wo mo de chichire wo mo were enyum to say Amazing Grace. They never saw the altar, but the song Amazing Grace was sung when they were on the ships going to, if anything, to the Americas as slaves. To be an Amazing Grace, a nyuma, a negro spirited. Tie koyen yampo ye friend is saying ye call Cape Coast Castle, Elmina Castle. The footprints of almost suffering is still there.
The slave trade must be recognized as the greatest crime against humanity.
Yes.
Wow.
And I agree with that statement, and I've always had that it wasn't a good thing, and that today as we stand, even there is some kind of slavery, because so we share yenuanu mo kwa manone ejuma wo mo ye a wo mo nya so mfaso. It has been turned in another way. Nti na mra so say etimi hihye yekuru ye niema yekuru me ye de. Omanhen me time me so nkrofo bebre kwa abruche wo me classmates wo me school me ka che me ho say me mekwa abruche a mekwa aba nti me tuwe me kwa abruche a macha ye 2 weeks. Macha ye 2 weeks me ntina abruche more than 2 weeks unless they be a me course. But if I have control, I do 2 weeks. Because I believe that we have the capacity to develop this country, for this country to move on, because there were all the resources and we need both human, natural, capital, and that's ye selfishness if free ye pesemum kunja ni greed free money corruption. We can move this country forward, and Ghana will be a doyen. I believe the light to turn Africa around. Africa can be turned around with the kind of population and resources that we have if we come together as one people, one nation, with one common purpose, with one currency, and with a voice. No one can stand against us. It is time for us to have that conversation, that so that we will have our African unity, so that we will trade amongst ourselves, so that we have our own conditions for trade. Trade that we will not be cheated, trade that will be purposeful and beneficial to the people within the continent. And we need to speak about it, and we need to have this conversation, and we need to have this dialogue. We need to ensure that never again will we be treated like pigs in another man's country. Never again. And I go with this call. Says slavery was one of the most criminal enterprises that happened in our time.
Wow. Why? Nkwasun de so obi ampe.
Omanhen ye wie.
Nkwasun de obi e no ha ope. Na me voice accelerate you.
Unwa bufu papa.
Start as a
me patch topics and
voice accelerate nti oh me dey be so the whole kind.
Okay, so so.
Yes. Because slave trade ye nyina ye gitum say it has really cost us as people. We share human resources as a result of illegal activities then abrofo omo ababidi and so a dear fast one accost African papa omo kro na ho ne fefefe ne nyina ye de ahode na kwahye kro no ma na reparation ne compensation wasn't ka omohwe na omotimi edemayen as people as we speak ekai Nana Akufo-Addo kasa same UN General Assembly. Nana Addo was emphatic say modi yenka na was say motimi patai as we speak to Mampanyi Mahama so akoka asem no fabi a chese Eden Ebetimaye. A beggar has no choice. But this is not the first time I make this appeal. And now they have moved from slave trade to what is termed as a mental slave.
In an exchange program.
You see, I was saying, my yenibaya hoso prekope. Omanhen. Oma condition to extend that adiobia free ye hebebia ye ni agitum se anya papa. It's also one thing as Africans also a
mental slavery. Brunian BDS rainy.
Baby, anything foreign, it's okay. Anything foreign, you develop a taste for. It appears that as people, be papa be no ayani but Omanhen, trust you me say until say Africa ye ni be buy en so na ye be hunu say anything African and na was ye hwe ne patronize ne ye ye he o de opa ye nye den ye ntimi ento wo mu. We have the market. We say you call a UN, ye kontokwa say ye here permanent seat at a Security Council. 4 states, 54 states. You need voice. UN Security Council. Also, you taking major decisions. Decisions that borders on our national security. Abrofu in Equatinasio. Now her China for ninkiti. And these are the people and almost decided the fate of Yenina. America, Russia, Italy, France. Yes, so extraordinary to extend that we must not have voice at what stage in this modern time. You need voice. Look, I was say Africa my need down. Head of states. I will call you. Adia, I was say sideline meetings. No, it's a pony bin also mokobo. Unimpona Poland for no European Union. All the mokobo makoba for Russia. Sa pony bin na me expect to say African leaders ebe demonstrate beyond General Assembly meeting. No. Sideline say ho na wase mosumutimi hia na mosumutimi hu say e den na yenso ye beye na da bia komodi ye ne de. Look, people are buying weapons. Crofo manufacture sophisticated weapons because we live in a world that Omanhen wa ho ubenu. I'm telling you, and it is hard time. Say African leaders they'll come back to the realization said there be and then I yes you bet me yes so that Africa advanced democracies ni be who say yes so no ye nimu enye but as we speak follow ya man panyini call ye ya na ni abra wo can be ma Palestinian nyina kakra na wo pedi free Arabs he hodi abragana
how
kakra obedi enti ena wokoko gina ho a oka bibisa ede flata o
da be no oprope bi afia
bibi kakra wo pedi abafie enti no eti no kasa na Somalia fo ne Bahrain ne Oman fo ne bom nsem so kakra o man panyini Mahama epe amaye die enti wako gina wo to sanwum we da bi I was say African leaders are starting to invest to extend say eje power because Omanhen share in the scheme of word politics and yema air cost of power blocks, power play, air koso na
I'm for position.
I'm go for position be reposition wo and Africa me hwe ya na more chencrophobia because akoya to say yeda ho and these are the very people almost say be use ye e dia kokon asabe say yikura mayen sika bebrebe ni nyina wo say ye start me boa ye yan ho fidie no omo totobi infidie akese no e bread say wo say yetimi ye nuclear program in Africa. At least yetimi identify baby na as AU nuclear bomb okra yen develop it. And I know what I'm saying. Because baby we are saying econo. Yeah, the most vulnerable group of people in this world young Africans. Just say yem penifo no antwe o madwenensi so na koyete say kakra ye bedienti da bia ya beggars at international stage. And the sika na yasere sa Kenyan president ojina ho nyina ho fifreti ni nyina sika na wo pede free abrofu ho. What is that? Sani ama we nyina no ye mpanifo no ntime ntena sen hunu ze da bi aye ekono ye de kakra na ye wo Africa ha no. We are naturally endowed as a continent. E kwa be ne vessel e be harness our resources no to maximize the welfare of our people, to position ourselves in such a way say obiod baba be bosu biano. We have the numbers to prove our worth. But look at what is happening. Etino Omanhen, yes, slave trade many omanpenyini Mahama ya adwene say is the greatest crime that has ever happened to humanity. Chese anodin nemum is becoming one too many. Said there be a yakwa na yesu. We should stop whining, and make sure say ye bibia ye abrofone to ombe hu say there be Africa na ye ni abre Africa na hu omo nye say na omoti enti ano de ye futuo kakra na dem na Omanhen maka say galamsey quick one on galamsey no nam dem no see Omanhen. There's an unprecedented assault on our forest reserves.
Unprecedented?
Yes, assault on our forest reserves.
Since when?
Omanhen, near Kosono. Send me the many opportunity to fly. Mrame parliament, defense and interior. Near soldier for Ghana, Yanam Sorona, helicopter. Nadana Manti Anto, Minyasho Semetia Tobio. Yanam one a papa na meeting me who made me near Hubi. And a mehunu forest cover the way depleted as a result of illegal mining. To extend, say, Nano minister responsible for lands and natural resources, Owusu. Or Tinisio wa adenya yen forest reserves no bear 44 there. Heavily armed illegal miners have taken over our forest. And say crowd there hu ne say NDC for no say o pata mo be bien pata eba illegal mining na
so the accusations
eba illegal mining na eno so ye ade
na mo de mo nya bi mo fempo boatin one cho report wo mo
anything MPP anything ye 2 year no
evidence NDC ni bi
me say o pata o mo empata be ade na say mo MC ba kwa America say mo constituency chairman baby concession o ma take over
asema ye kan ba reparations. EU reparations loan to Ukraine could be up to 130 billion euros.
They should take the matter seriously.
I am telling you, EU reparations loan in Tiaka, reparation to Ukraine could be up to 130 billion euros. Ukraine and
130 billion.
130 billion euros. Otemase. So the matter of reparations and yet the fight a one person fight.
No, not at all.
Africa should come together as a bloc. Yes, they should come together as a bloc. Akwa to say the African leaders no be the sovereignty. But Omanhen Omanhen say o papa eja wafu. Waja gold, waja sika akọ, waja ofie, waja niama bebe na da so sere wa abontia. Ne problem ho.
Not as a problem if you younger so.
And no problem ho because o papa eja is
everything that should make you successful.
Yes, na se wuntimi nye successful. And as wa sakra de wa ko school aka ho am wa dwene se fa dwene. Na fa ye adwuma na fa show. Na se wuntimi anya na e wo problem. Inti I see ye ka omo die no. Ye tumo money for na wutu okraso for. Ye so na die ben ye to ensure say ye kure be ye. E die ben ye to ensure say ye kure ye.
Single currency da ben ye pepaso.
Ye wo echo. Ya kan echo asem. Ye omu si wami. West African Monetary Institute, West African Monetary Union. Yeah, what you say?
Africa, you cross so propose say
interest no.
Interest no.
Controlling hands.
Controlling hands no.
Yes,
because you share Kwame Nkrumah AU model is what EU has used today and it is successful. A dear Bentini come back to the drawing table to see what Kwame Nkrumah meant is here. Send AU no a dear ben because you see the EU have come together and now they have a common currency and the EU is strong.
Yes, very
strong. So why can't we do same? They don't even have the resources that we have. Obroni krom enye snow na wo. Obroni krom snow na wo. Yenye wo bibia. Wo dia mpacho wo ye salada. Na wo ayi anwa kakra wo fie yi tomatoes no. Na fagum na de ja ho. Then mesimi ho na afifi.
So and then credit them cry ututu na the brochure ho
baby cry dan ho ahwe ye cry ho be fifi what dey make you intine dey be intine ya ye ho sei yesi dey bia broni bo yeso so asi etimi hwe the way ye niema na ya dwene ye crofo
ye mpanimfo no pesika sere dodo hwe ohun we are not ready. Only Tinubu must spend a number of years a work was. I know what I'm saying. Omanhen, you penny for any briska dodo.
There be a Ghana UK Ghana partnership, Ghana Togo partnership, Ghana Nigeria partnership, Ghana Guinea Bissau partnership. There be say any UK, US, any USA, baby.
South African Continental Free Trade. A game changer.
A game changer.
A crime banner, Yafaso. Almost they feel so relaxed because anything foreign, your papa. Ushe Kenya for utrini omotiko uka picture omomuti. What did I mention? And it is hard time say was a study obi ani ba ne ho so obi ani ba ne ho so because I start by saying say so papa jawa ajapade
yes
that still ultimate pebra
there's a problem because if you ajapade good dear wo krom ha say
there's too much of
emu diamond emu bauxite
look at what Asia is doing
Kwame Nkrumah back na China krampo wo mo ma ene o ma baba be twa ye ho Malaysia twa ye ho Singapore twa ye ho China twa ye ho
about 60 years ago na Dubai no net say
bit is Collins wo krom ha be krom
na Dubai no net say what did they mention
maybe also
Collins
when some so me madwene no eno na be pega Ghana ono ankasa woni onim pa say nana ya nim say yemu bi adwene no eno na betimi move Africa what did they mention very strong
ya we ya be hwe say woni delegation aba say omo baba be sie ye daddy lumba me hwe ndi mi si
amo jubilu
me nam ka kire otutuntuma me nim so ye producer so ye die ben o so ye daddy lumba me say daddy lumba me na me ka kire no lead ye di mo kuta mic na de ye babufu kura ne say wo se wo ye de hye wo ba ya na obeka brofo
am I in a seat of government?
Not this year, no cocky
seat of government. There's Omanhen.
me hu ni ye na me say tibi ni pay ni tibi hwe ni di meso bi na tuntuma wo be
but it me say the occasion na hu here say okakasa there's okan ya kankasa no
akankasa ne
ba social media o
akankasa
no okambrofo
akankasa no akankasa o say o call seat of government mamu say akrafo
so boy MP a greater Kumasi bo constituency ni di mi ntie
nana ya
nana bi das olman kai bon fatu
me pa cho china 10:30 wo a rich church ye di 5 years of of his Thanksgiving, the death, 2020, F.A. Jantuah, Esquire, and now he have friend honorable. He used to be Kwame Nkrumah's minister. He used to be a PNDC minister for Ashanti region, mayor for Kumasi under Rawlings, local government under Rawlings, and also he was a lawyer and a pharmacist at the same time. Kumasi dishe pa Asante dishe Asante man dishe. Inti yetun sa afro biya obenya ho se omone family no emeye den ema medi Thanksgiving na yenye den yenhye ye papa animunya waye bia magana Africa na ya sometimes we don't honor our heroes na campaigning bi say ya omoboa ma independence no ese sanke itimi epe edin papa bi ana be papa bi kura de to wom mame
opinion ya baso Nkranza Mahene.
Okay.
Nana kwamba for the fourth. No correct say Matia see a person pen for say ye de adidi menyansa for. Na tie ni interviews kakra. Oye nyansa for. Oye ohina na dwunu modu. Na me hwe ne ma opese ode koma Nkranza Mahene Nkranza Maya. What's saying? Me see David me pacho. Me say ye dey adidie manyansa for. And I'm say oye nyansania. Say me tie no. Apart from say oye a lawyer by profession, oye a chartered accountant. Very brilliant. What dem che no? Chese me hwe na niso adi hu no opese ode Nkranza man no kofa so na. Na I'm say monya wo hina. Monyina obi amfa koma panta na chi.
Good.
No be a man asumdwe e wo ponim. What you say?
Well, Mama Safa Kwanya was Namenka Adofonati for Sin. I mean, my memory there enemy. So, yeah, in the late DJ Awana, Oniu, Awana and you, Ebebaso, Ewo, Temacom D2, Agri Park, Inti, Omanhen Shannon, so now,
any power baby,
Konapa, no tree,
DJ Awana and you,
Oniu, Awana and you, I don't want no credit say, and they on kind what as for assassin.
Yabani Becro. Omanhen, I don't know who did ya. Now I'm Dominic Mubieti. What did I mention? I don't know who did ya, my Dominic Mubini.
Sebidia.
Yes,
with the Casakwana.
What did I mention? Oh, Nana, who did ya? Now I kai a man. What you say? Kai see before man. Say, Omo do loan NDC. I was so kai woman. So Omo de loan. See before no some de loan no NDC.
Asa no more can.
See before more.
Oh, you was salam down.
Na monton.
Oh, Debbie.
What party did you go?
How many court office be on?
Campaign office.
No way.
Omo party no more cheche.
No way, oh.
Oh, so only flag bearer.
Oh, and I'm better. Nana ye didi a on kai.
So befe new flag bearer no.
Nana ye didi a on kai omo.
Na me didi.
What did you Jubilee? Ah, what on patron ni dey jaka. Omo me say o corner chance esi ho.
Why me?
Nana account by say no team.
Omanhen o no o ye na niam ati say yi o communist. What o ye na niam ati say Cuba ni
Just right.
Ya money training. Sika no wo hopa oba. Sika wo ho. Ne bag e kra no he.
As everybody is praising John Mahama for his powerful influence speech during the UN General Assembly, the MPP on the other hand sees nothing good about it, but rather to look for faults around what the NDC is doing, which Nanaya Jantuah has also not given them the way, but rather blast them one by one, and finally meeting Collins, Owusu and Mankwa on set. And it's not a small banter, which I would like you to join me listening to what transpired between the two. Nanaya Jantuah did not give him the chance at all. Without much ado, I would like you to join me on PENDREAM TV today to listen to what happened then. Thank you.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.